YouTubes! Welcome back, Haunt Fam. So today I want to show you guys how I make a mother mold or a jacket mold. Come on along and I'll show you guys what I mean. Come on. Okay, YouTubes, what I have here is two of my clay sculptures. They started out just like this. Just a raw clay sculpture. And I went ahead and did several coats of brush-on silicone. This silicone is Smooth On Rebound 25. Thanks to Brother Steve Cotroneo over at Grimwood Hollow. He suggested this particular silicone. I haven't used it yet. I've used other kinds, but this one was new to me. Worked great, worked beautifully. I love it. I'll probably stick with it. If you guys don't know Brother Steve, check out Grimwood Hollow. He also has a YouTube channel. I'll link it down below for you guys. Do yourself a favor, go check him out. You'll fall in love with all the stuff. Steve does beautiful, beautiful work. So I went ahead and I put several coats of brush-on silicone on these guys, and now we need to make a mother mold. So you guys ask, what is a mother mold or a jacket mold? Well, once I pull this silicone off, it's going to be real floppy and won't hold its shape. So what we're going to do is just like a Nightmare Maker skull. So a Nightmare Maker skull, same principle. They make beautiful stuff. They also have a channel, which I will link below. Love me some Nightmare Makers. What we have here is a two-piece mother shell. So when I pull these silicone skins off these guys, they're going to collapse and be floppy, and we need something to hold their shape. So we need a mother mold. So this kind of hugs this, and when you pour your resin in or your foam, whatever you want to do, you put a strap on it, it'll hold its shape so you get a good solid pull from your mold. So this is what we're going to do with these guys, and I thought, okay, what can we use? There's a couple of different ways you can go to construct a mother mold. These are obviously plaster bandages, which are great. They're lightweight, big con. Bad thing about these, if you store them in a wet place or they get wet, they'll want to start getting soft and deteriorate, and I'm not so much a fan of that. The other thing we can do is use a stone mold. I'll get some stone. Okay, YouTube, so what I have here is Ultra Cal 30. This is a stone, not a plaster. This is super strong, but it's heavy. Big drawbacks. So I like to go somewhere in between and try and get strong and lightweight, and I decided fiberglass. Fiberglass? Fiberglass. 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 Okay, YouTubes, this is my favorite standby Bondo brand fiberglass. Pretty much every Bondo product sucks except for their fiberglass. It's awesome stuff. I use the hell out of it. It is lightweight, it is strong, and it is waterproof. So how are we going to do this? Hit me up to Dollar General. After Christmas time, they have all these little fleece blankets on sale. You know, Menards has them, Dollar Day, Dollar Trees, Dollarama, General Dollar, all of them. They sell these cheap little fleece blankets. This guy was $5. I got it half price for $2.50. I think I've got a couple more of them. And this fleece material is awesome stuff for making mother shells. I love to use it for fiberglass because it's soft, it's stretchy, it's absorbent, and it's perfect for making a lightweight, strong mother mold. And it's a little bit flexible too, so after we get our shells done, we can stretch them a little bit to get on and off of our molds. So let's go to the floor, let's get busy. Okay, YouTube, so what I have here is 16 ounces of fiberglass. I know it looks like a lot. I'm just working out of a big bucket since we got a big head. It's actually this much on a quart cup, so that's really the only amount of fiberglass that we're actually using. I did go ahead and add the hardener, which is 160 drops. It's 10 drops of hardener per ounce. So I just do 16 squeezes. That's the easiest way. You guys see me mix fiberglass a bunch of times. So the next thing we gotta do is dip in, and we're gonna start brushing our fiberglass on. And the great thing about silicone is that nothing sticks to it. Okay, well obviously I'm a liar. So nothing sticks to silicone except for more silicone. So we should be able to take our cloth, put it inside. I went ahead and just pre-cut a piece and draped it over, just enough to go around the edges, and that's all we need. We can trim off the excess later, not a big deal. So I'm going to go ahead and brush in, and we just want to go ahead and put a nice little layer around the whole head. So it's sort of like a pre-stickiness layer. And again, do this on a mat, you do this in your house on a carpet, you're going to be sleeping on the couch and the cats are going to walk all over your face at night because they think they own everything. It's horrific. So just go ahead and brush the whole head out with a little bit of our fiberglass. And we're going to cover this whole head. And then we're going to pre-soak our dollar store fleece blanket. And that'll help make sure that we don't have any missing spots in here that aren't kind of pre-sticky from the fiberglass resin. So we're just going to go all the way around And again, it's not a perfect thing. You don't have to hit every single square inch. We basically just want to be able to cradle this mold when it's done to keep our silicone from caving in and deforming whatever we're going to put in there, which is going to be resin. I wanted to make a hard resin mask, and I'm really hoping to save this sculpt so that I can also mold it in stone and make a latex mask out of this. So I think we're pretty well covered. All right. Let's go ahead and take our fiberglass cloth and get it in there. Like I said, it'll soak up. We don't have to get every square inch of it because we can always go back and brush more on once we get it on the head. But we want to get some in there. And I have added some extra hardener just to make sure, because it's cold outside and this stuff wants to take forever to dry. So we're still going to have plenty of fiberglass left in there. Alright. So we're basically got a decent coat on there. I want to get it all through them fleece fibers. Like I said, fleece is ideal and it's cheap. And if you can't find it at the dollar days, dollar stores, you can always hit up a Joann's. They always have tons of fleece on the floor. And it doesn't matter if it's got Dora the Explorer on it or Transformers or whatever. So we're going to go ahead and go over our sculpt. Make sure we cover everything. And we're just going to tuck it in there. And like I said, the extra don't matter. We're just basically making a bowl for our silicone shell to sit in. Alright, we'll stretch it up in there. So now I'll go ahead and I'll go back and back brush. Make sure it's nice and wet. Straighten it out. It's okay to have wrinkles in there, because again, we're just making a hard shell to hold our silicone in place. So I'm going to go ahead and brush this whole guy out. And when I come back, I think we'll start on Big Head Todd over there, our Cyclops. We'll do a two-piece version on him. Okay, YouTube, so I'm just about done brushing out. I'm pretty happy with everything, but you can see sometimes your material wants to pull away from your sculpt depending on how the shape of it is. So I'm just going to use a little rubber band trick. And I'm going to tighten it down with a rubber band while the fiberglass is curing. Alright. Get down where it needs to be. And I'll just keep tucking it in there until it cures. Okay, YouTube, so we're back with Big Head Todd. I did go ahead and brush the board with Vaseline because fiberglass won't stick to silicone, but it will stick to wood, so I don't want to have a problem getting this mold off the board. I went ahead and mixed up our fiberglass already. I went ahead and did about 24-25 ounces this time. And I did cover half the head in saran wrap, as you can see here. My plan is to cut the head in half, just how like our Nightmare Maker's mold is. We've got to have a step so we can lock these two halves of the mold together so they won't push apart when we foam fill it. So my plan is I decided to go over the top of the head versus down the middle like Nightmare Maker's. Just personal preference. I don't think it makes a difference. So, and I've also went ahead and I filled our little holes back here. These should be our little keys. So hopefully when we're done, in theory, our mold should stretch over these little wooden balls that stick to our mold. So it'll keep our mold open from collapsing in when foam comes to the top and doesn't distort anything. So I have went ahead and I kind of brushed the head out a little bit. Got a good layer on there. And I also want to go ahead, do the back. Okay, just to get some wetness on there. Okay, I put the board down. I went ahead and cut another piece of our fleece blanket. And I think the most important part of this one is going to be this top edge. So I want to make keys for this thing so we can lock our molds together. So I've got these little hammer wedges that I use that I took out of a bunch of hammer handles. You get a new hammer and you smack this down in there in the head to keep the wood split apart so it holds the hammer head in. We're going to use these as keys. You could use clay, you could use foam, you could use anything, because we're going to fiberglass over these just to keep the two halves from pushing together when we clamp them together to foam fill. So let's go ahead and we'll use the longest edge, I think, which is probably this one. Yeah, this one. So this is the most important edge. I know most of this is going to be on the head, so I want to try and soak that. And we'll go ahead, we'll back brush as always. So since we've already got a layer of fiberglass on, I think I want to split this guy right here at the ears. So we've got that little factory edge right there. It's kind of thick. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of drape this guy. Make sure we touch the bottom. And I think I'm going to go split them right at the ears. So we'll kind of fold that down. Try and make our little halfway mark. Again, I don't think it matters. And any of the excess we can trim off. It's already sticking to the back of the head here, where I've already brushed the fiberglass on. So my plan is to have a thicker edge on the top so our front face will overlap. And the saran wrap's there, so when we get this fiberglass edge done, we can roll the saran wrap back and cover this to keep our front half of the mold from sticking to this. So I'm going to take these little wedges and put the front edge forward so that the bigger edge towards the front, so our next half will lock into this and not overlap. So I'm just going to take this and stick it right inside there. And then I'm going to brush this in all the way down, both sides, front and back. I want to put a key at the bottom too. So I'm going to move along and brush this head in. And I'll probably go back maybe and put another piece here. I'm not sure, just to reinforce and make a taller lip. We'll see. But I'm going to get this half of the head all brushed out, get some keys in there, and then I'll show you guys what the back half of this mold is going to look like. Okay, YouTubes, so I got you guys around the back side of the head. You can see everything's fiberglassed. I got everything folded back. Here's our little shims, our little wedges. So these should be our keys. I might go ahead and do a second layer on the back, I don't know, and then come right across the top just to build up that edge a little bit, because our next layer from the front of the face will fold over to this one, and that'll lock us into place. So, I don't know, we'll see. Maybe I'll do the next one first, the front face first. Maybe I'll go ahead and I'll add a second layer. I don't know. I'm going to let this cure first, let it harden up. I'm just kind of rubbing it into the skull, make sure everything's wet. Just like so. And then we got a nice, decent line right over them ears to overlap with. Okay, YouTubes, I went ahead and finished the mold. I did the front half and I overlapped it on the back half just like I did the rear part of the mold. So we've got a complete sandwich. You can see I've got the saran wrap here. Move them. And that kind of just separates our two halves, so hopefully they should slide apart, in theory. So I went ahead and just folded this stuff back and then did my mold, so there really should be no fiberglass touching except for maybe on the seams right here. So let's go ahead and demold Big Head Todd and see what happens. Hopefully he'll pry apart without too much damage. Let's see. Might be some fiberglass under there. I should get a wooden stick. Fiberglass should stretch a little bit of wiggle room, so pop some shims in there and see if we can't just keep her going. I'm getting it. Just about. Almost. Oh, okay. Alright. Still a little bit of place where I got some fiberglass work to do. I'll clean all this out later. Get the rest of this saran wrap out. But that is the front half of the shell. Hopefully the backside won't be so damn hard. So I'm going to demold the backside. And then we'll start on the skullcap mold. Come on, Todd. You fathead bastard! Alright, a crack. Let's do some wiggles. Am I still stuck on the board? Where are we stuck? Stuck on this side? Oh! Oh, there we go. Alright. Come on, Todd. What are you doing? here. Woo! Look at that. All right. So, what a pain in the damn ass. Big head Todd. Here's our back. And here's our front half. 2-inch piece mold. Woo, hell. All right. All right. Let's do the other skull mask. Okay, YouTubes, here is our Skullcap mask. I can hear you saying now, but Cobwebs, that's a 2-piece mold. That's not a 1-piece mold. And that's very true. You guys are very astute. What had happened was, I got too aggressive, you guys. I made a 1-piece mold. I should have made a 2-piece mold, which I did. So the first 1-piece mold turned into about 128-piece mold. So that's the first mold. I got too aggressive. I made it in 1 piece. I couldn't get it off. There was a hammer involved. It was pretty ugly. I tried making a 1-piece mold. I got too aggressive. Overstepped my bounds. I should have just did like Nightmare Makers. Even though it's a fairly round with not much undercoats sculpt, make it a 2-piece anyways. Make it easier on yourself. So next time, I'll probably just make everything a 2-piece mold. I don't see why I should need a 1-piece mold anymore since I'm going to beat it off with a hammer. So I'm going to get this guy demolded. And we'll take a look at our molds and see what we got. Okay, YouTube, so I went ahead and demolded the Skullcap mask. It works a whole lot easier in 2 halves. Lesson learned. I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup on it. You can see I've got my little stepped over ridge with the 2 halves snapped together around the silicone jacket, so it'll keep them from falling in when we go to do foam, or this one's going to be resin, so I'll do resin and maybe then backfill with foam. I don't know. So I'm going to demold this guy, and I'm going to pull the skin off, and I want to hope to mold this sculpt in a stone mold too, so I can maybe like a latex mask version of the same thing. So I got some cleanup to do on the molds. They're by far not pretty, but they are lightweight. They are waterproof. I think they're better than plaster bandages, although that's probably overkill using fiberglass on a small head like that. That's just me. You guys know how I am. Big Head Todd turned out great, the Cyclops. I'm ready to put some foam in this guy after I get him demolded and break this board down. I'm going to take my little keys and I'm going to go ahead and glue them and screw them back into the holes so that my mold will snap over the little balls when I hold it upside down. That'll keep the mold from falling in when I pour foam inside there. So I'm happy overall, man. That's my 2-piece mold for 2-piece mother mold or shell mold for a silicone mold. And these will, like I said, these will keep your molds together from flopping around and falling apart and caving in on itself when you guys go to make your final product, whatever media you decide to put in there. I want to thank Steve over at Grimwood Hollow. Like I said, I'm going to link his channel below for you guys. Thanks for the tip, Steve, on the silicone. Love the silicone. And Nightmare Makers, as always, I love you guys. Love your product. You guys are top shelf all the way. This is sort of my version of my Nightmares Maker skull, so hope you guys enjoy it. As always, I am also 1/3 of the Trio of Terror. Go check out my brothers Vic over at Monster Misfits and Dave at the Weird Kid Show channel. Guys, we're constantly tinkering and trying to put something out there. We've always got something up our sleeve, and we just never give up. So, did it turn out perfect? No. Had a fail on the skull, but I went ahead and saved it and came back with a 2-piece mold and got a successful 2-piece mold on Big Head Todd. So, man, I'm ready to start making some monsters. So I'll see you guys again. Keep it evil. Thanks for watching. I'll show you how. Come on. Come on. Don't make me come back there. I'll pull this goddamn car around.